When you're a watch collector like myself, you are always looking for something with a fresh design or a new take on watchmaking, and Alto8 always play in that market. Their latest release is no exception. Taking inspiration from 1930s dive pieces, this is their modern take. Hi guys, my name is Jason and I'm your watch guy today. I am back with Alto8 today and their latest release. This one is going to be live on Kickstarter. The RRP is $400, but it's going live for 25% off at $299, which is a pretty good price for such a unique looking piece. This is their Coral STEWARD, and it is a 300-meter dive watch. Now I have linked Alto8 in the description if you're interested in this piece. They have sent me this one to review for you. Now let's get into it. I love seeing Alto8's new designs because they're always outside of the box and pretty well thought out. This one's no different, inspired by 1930s dive watches and the robust nature of dive equipment. This one almost has a look of a Bell & Ross with a few more steps. I love the inner rotating bezel on this one, and the dual crown system at either side definitely gives this case a much more symmetrical feeling. There are plenty of lovely features for me to mention throughout this watch. The inner bezel, the textured dial, the lovely cutaways to the casing, as well as the dual crown system. They're all brought together with a really lovely aged effect stainless steel casing. It's really well built and it almost has a semi-exoskeleton look to it. The crown guards look really robust and definitely do a job protecting each crown. The grip, really easy to use, and both of them are signed with the Alto8 logo. The wear to the casing definitely adds another level to the design, but if this doesn't do it for you, they do have other options available. Now, let's talk about the dimensions. Including the crown guards, this is 45.1 millimeters in diameter, 12.9 millimeters thick. Lug to lug is 45.2 millimeters, and we have a 22 millimeter lug profile here. This casing provides the watch with 300 meters of water resistance, definitely solidifying the Coral STEWARD's nature as a proper dive piece. They've achieved this by adding screw down features to both crowns and a screw in squared caseback. The caseback shows an etching of one of the inspirations of this piece, a vintage diver's helmet. They've also added the usual specifications around the outer edge. The large screw points add to the industrial features of this piece. The right hand crown is set up for the features of the movement. That is an NH36 movement. First position is the date, second position is the handset. The crown on the left hand side, as you may have guessed, is for that inner rotating bezel. The screw down feature for that crown also provides the watch with a more secure feeling to the bezel. The casing's finished with a sapphire crystal, exactly what you'd expect at this price point. This dial has a fantastic texture to it, and I really do enjoy a 3D dial. It adds so much to the design with this really nice wave-like pattern to it. The indices are applied to the dial with a stainless steel effect border and a lume center. The 12 o'clock indice distinguishes itself very nicely as a triangular shaped piece. The extra function of that date is at the 3 o'clock with a date window and a stainless steel bordered effect, so it flows nicely with the rest of the indices. The inner rotating bezel is definitely one of the distinguishing features to the piece. I really like that they finished it in an almost brushed effect. It definitely adds to the textures of the dial. The markings are in grey. That does distinguish them slightly from the other markings around the dial, but it also means that it kind of fades a little bit into that green bezel. The handset used is very practical as a dive handset and very much of the nature that you would expect. A broad arrow-shaped hour hand and a sword-style minute hand. That minute hand has a really lovely reach, almost to that minute track. That definitely adds a level of legibility to it. With the dive nature of this piece, we are definitely going to be interested in the quality of that Lume Shot, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so we can see the lume on the dial is actually well applied. It's not as bright as for me to say that it's like nuclear, but it's definitely got a good presence to it. It's well spread, and all of the indices as well as the minute markings are loomed, which is definitely nice to see. The downside of this one is that the inner rotating bezel isn't as bright as I would like. I'd like that to be much brighter, and maybe that is partially because of that more grey tone. Out of 10, I think best I can give this one is a 6. The dial's pretty good. That bezel definitely takes away from that for me. The coral STEWARD is supplied on a fantastically comfortable rubber band. I think that this goes really well with the entire nature of the watch. There's a few added points of design, like those vents either side of the watch casing. It has a good level of fit, and as I said, it is super comfortable. This green colour really goes well with the case and the dial for me. The Olto 8 logo is etched into the buckle, and it is matched to the casing. The real test for this is for you to see it on my wrist. So let's have a look. As I mentioned, the band on this piece really does make it a very wearable watch, and it makes it very comfortable to wrist. Now the short lug to lug does definitely counter that slightly larger diameter. It makes it a really easily wearable watch, and I think that this would be suitable for a lot of different wrist sizes. This is definitely one of the more easily wearable pieces that I've received. This is a fantastic watch, and as I mentioned, if you want out of the box thinking, then Olto 8 is definitely one of those places to go. That being said, I do have a couple of improvements that I'd like to see on this piece. First of all, the printed logo and the rest of the printing to the dial should be much more visible. Whether they do that in a stark white or they add an applied logo, either way would give a much better effect. This one really fades into the dial and you can't really see it very well. While on that note, the bezel markings aren't exactly legible enough for me. I think that they definitely should have gone with the white print to make this much more clear to us. As I say, those markings really do fade into that bezel, and that's not exactly what we want. Now this is going to be a launch on Kickstarter. They are due on the 28th of this month. I've given you a couple of days notice so you can get your eggs in order. If you're interested in it, the link is in the description. This is definitely a well-built watch, and if it's your style, this could be a very cheap alternative to something like a Bell & Ross design. Thanks for watching this one, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think of this watch in the comments. Is this one that you're going to grab for yourself, or do you agree with the improvements that I mentioned in the moan section? As I said, the link is in the description. Sign up to the notifications if you are interested. 25% off on that Kickstarter campaign, which brings in at $299. If you'd like to see more from me with these boy band good looks, who wouldn't? Remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.